everyone, and welcome back to Here Be Dragons. I am your host, as always, Stephen Stark. Joining me this week back for again, we miss you every time you're not here, but it's Nessie. You all know her, you all love her. Really great to have you back, Nessie. And then
Hey, great to
returning,
be back.
it's always good to have you. Like we miss you every time you're out, saving people's lives, but we'll allow it for the good of society.
If she must.
But we've also got Kelly and Kate rejoining us, Marvel superfans themselves. You've both been on here a few times to talk about different things. But yeah, we're here to talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Five Rings.
I call them the two marvelous chicks.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yes, you're both marvelous.
Thanks.
So, full disclosure, none of us are Chinese speakers. We will do our best with the names and pronunciations. Please don't roast us too much. John is notably absent this week, which was the perfect time to do a Marvel movie. John, not the biggest fan of Marvel movies, as you know. But John is doing something else this week, and I'll just give y'all a little picture teaser of what John is doing this week, why he's not here. This
Being
is a
an
picture
absolute nerd.
This is something from earlier today.
Yeah.
There is
Wrong
John.
answers only, guys. Wrong answers only.
Yeah, what is John doing? Wrong answers only. I love it, Nessie. I love it. But yeah,
He's
there's
captaining the Enterprise.
yes, that is
Captaining the
exactly right.
Benatar. Staying on brand.
But yeah, John is at Galaxy's Edge this week with some friends, friends of the channel, people who have actually been on the channel before themselves. But they're all hanging out at in Orlando together. And John, I hope you're having a blast, my man. I really do. We're all super jealous of you, but we're all also really hope. Correct. We also hope you're having a great time with you and Christina and Brian. But anyway, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Where to start with this movie? Were any of you familiar with this character before the film?
I was not.
No.
Neither was I.
But I was really excited when I saw the previews of it, being advertised. I was like, "Oh, that's something totally different from Marvel. Let's watch that."
Honestly, I wasn't that jazzed when I saw that it was coming. I was like, okay, it looks fine. It's another Marvel movie. Whatever. I was more excited about the Eternals. But then when I saw this movie, I was like, oh my God, yes. It was so good. I liked it better than the Eternals. What are you going to do?
It'd be like that sometimes.
It'd be like that. Sometimes something will come out of left field and surprise you.
Yeah.
So what about you, Kelly? Were you super excited when you heard about this film then?
No, I'm looking forward to, certain Marvel movies, and otherwise it's just like, no, I'll see it when it streams or when it comes out on DVD. But I did not see this in the theater. Since it was announced that I would be on the stream this week, I figured, oh, maybe I should see that movie. To be fair, there are a lot of Marvel movies I have yet to see. And probably
you're a comic book aficionado, and I know the X-Men is where your heart truly lies, but still.
And that's still as expansive as the Marvel universe, not cinematic universe, but Marvel universe is. There's many realms I have not gone into, and this is one of them. But I watched it Friday, and then I watched it again on Saturday because I enjoyed it that much.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
I'm sorry I did not go to the theater to see this, because what a visual feast this was.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I have feelings about that, mostly positive. Like, there's no such thing as a perfect movie. I will point out anything I can think of that's wrong with this movie, and that won't take that long. Nothing is springing to mind off the top of my head. I guess it's safe to say I really, really loved this movie from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a thrill fest too. There was no lag in the action whatever. The action economy of this movie was fantastic. There was no dull moments. It was just clip fast paced.
Hmm.
And even like the scenes when it was just, Katie and Sean together where they weren't doing any like fabulous moves or what have you. Just the action, the dialogue was quick and it just kept my attention the entire time. So great job, guys.
Yeah, I agree. The action in
Yeah.
this movie is great, but that dialogue, that banter between our two leads really
Mhm.
makes you care about them, and which is important in an action movie. You have to care about the people involved in the fight for the fight to mean something.
Yeah, you really believe their
Absolutely.
chemistry and their friendship.
Oh yeah.
You believe that Katie would just get on a plane to Macau, no questions asked, explain on the plane, let's go. And it works. That's the ride or die kind of friendship that
Yeah,
sustained her presence in the movie, which is awesome.
yeah, and
That
she had a real fish out of water type of story too, which is kind of refreshing even to see
yeah.
a Chinese woman, the fish out of water in Macau.
Yeah, he calls her like one who calls her American girl.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, American Girl. Yeah.
I love the fact that like and that was the thing, like, as soon as she's introduced, I'm like, oh, Aquafina's in this. I didn't realize this. Oh my god, I'm loving this. And then when he has to like leave, I'm like, really? That's all the Aquafina I'm gonna get? And then she goes, and I'm just like, oh hell yes. But she's the Aquafina herself, Nora Loom, I think that's her name. Her mother is South Korean and her father is Chinese American, and I love that they play up on the her Korean family when Shang actually goes and visits her. And it's just like, as someone who grew up with a lot of Asian friends, specifically going over their house, their mom always, always trying to feed you.
Mhm.
um but it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm having like high school flashbacks.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's, the dynamics between all of the family and Sean were just great. It's just, this kid grew up at well, not maybe not grew up, but spent a lot of time at these women's table. He spent a lot of time over at Katie's house.
Yeah. I'm gonna like rag on John a little bit, because him missing out on this, he's missing out on a lot of talk about music, because I want to talk about the music in the movie
I mean, great. Let's
when
do
we
it.
get there.
No, let's do it now.
Oh, okay.
Why not? You brought it up.
Forget where you
So-
are, Kelly.
So yeah, so like Steven, I too am a fan of the hip hop. So the soundtrack itself was created and produced by a production company called 88 Rising, which puts Asian and Asian American musicians out there, for as far as exposure. So you had like really great hip hop artists, just like American, Asian American, Canadian, Canadian Asian. It was all kind of included, and the score was brilliant and amazing. That's because the composer had worked with the director several times before, so there was creating the score itself was a 2-year process, and specifically for this movie. But yeah, I really enjoyed like all of the R&B and hip hop. It was so
Yes.
Jess,
Redhead.
yeah,
that is
Jaded,
immediate
Webhead, yeah.
that is immediate legendary status right there.
10 points to Gryffindor for that.
Thanks, Jess. Gosh. By the way, Jess, I'm glad you're feeling better. I was worried about
Yeah.
you, girl.
Yeah, she played D&D earlier today. It was
Yeah.
We had a blast. I almost killed her with a giant snake.
Yes. That's an awesome D&D day.
All right.
I'm sorry, I derailed it. Let's talk about music. No. Jess,
Music,
go ahead.
yes. There was for the Shang-Chi soundtrack, a lot of like, again, R&B and hip hop, and there's certain like story beats that they are, they're in the film. There are a lot of songs that are actually on the soundtrack but not in the film itself. But Run It by
Yes.
DJ Snake and Rick Ross, while the bus fight, I was feeling it. I was loving it. And that's for as far as like any complaints about the movie, there's some logistical issues I have with the bus fight, but that's it. That's
Right,
my
like-
only complaint. And it's just like, for the bus fight itself, so every turn you take in San Francisco, you're always going downhill. Is that how?
That is
Pretty
legit.
much.
I told you there are not many complaints, but they must have started like at the highest point in San Francisco.
Yeah, they were on Mission Hill, weren't they? Isn't that the famous side?
Yes.
Lombard Street.
Yeah. So they were up in the Mission District.
But
Anyway.
but it was,
Yeah,
you're
it's
right.
downhill.
It's literally
Yeah.
downhill the whole way.
Yeah, it's like, as far as like Awkwafina, like she's making all these turns. It's like no matter how many turns she makes, she's still going downhill. Like
You can't make a turn that aims it uphill.
it's like as soon as the brakes were cut by my man Razor Fist.
Razor Fist.
It's like, did anybody get like a taser face, like, influence there?
Yes, absolutely.
But he's
Somebody
way
even
cooler
made
than
a
Taserface.
meme
Yeah,
about
way
that.
cooler.
Like
So
Razor
Oh.
Fist?
Yeah, Sean, I thought it was 10 miles uphill both ways.
In the
Wow.
snow.
50 miles.
In the snow.
Yeah.
But,
Back on the
but-
music for like a second before we like continue on in the logistics of a downhill bus fight. All I have to say about the music is I loved it.
Right.
So Run It, and my other favorite I think was Swan Song, which is the one that plays in the teaser with Xiaoling at the very end when she takes her father's seat.
Mm.
That
Right.
song. Okay, you may now return to talk of the buses.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I know the score was great because I didn't notice it, which means it blended perfectly.
Blended
Yeah.
seamlessly with the action. Yeah, I don't catch the music on my first or second watch through. It's generally like I enjoy it, and I know it would annoy me if it was wrong. Does that make sense? Like it would detract from my enjoyment of the movie if it really just was, it was out of sync or out of place. And in fact, like Steven said, that it just was beautifully in the background and just another color on this palette of visual and auditory. It's just, that's great. I guess that's good because I didn't notice it either.
And I love how they blended the more traditional Chinese music with the hip hop. It was
Oh yeah, I love fusion music of all kinds, really.
Yeah.
You can take two genres that are theoretically very different and you can blend them into one style. Like I'm gonna love it, period, every time.
Yeah.
Even if one of those two genres is one that I don't particularly care for as a standalone. Anyway, I digress. Great music, and I know it's great because it didn't just. It felt so natural to everything that was in it that it was just. I get so immersed the first time or second time I watch a movie that I don't always, like Nessie was saying, like I'm just living the experience, Other movies I have seen so many times I could pick out every musical beat, like Star Wars I'm that way with, Nightmare Before Christmas I'm that way with. But yeah, I thought it was great. let's talk about the title character as portrayed by Simu Liu, who
Sean?
is Sean.
Sean.
Shang-Chi.
Joke. Oh my god. The
Shang-Chi.
pronunciation joke.
Sean. Sean.
Wait, you changed your name from Sean to Sean? It's a wonder your father ever figured out where you were.
I was 14.
Yeah.
But it was perfect. My god, it was so perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Weezy.
Blaze it.
Thank you, Weezy. You're doing work for us all. We appreciate you and love you for it. So yeah, Simu Liu, I hadn't seen anything he was in before. I know he was been in a few films and he's gained some acclaim. I haven't seen those. Again, I really only watch like sci-fi, fantasy, superhero crap anymore. That's all I watch. Very rarely do I get into something that's not that genre storytelling, you know. But God, he was so good in this.
Yes.
Like he really sold the family connection with both sister and father. He really played the tortured soul aspect of grief over what happened to his mother, shame over killing the man that his father sent him to kill. That sort, and yet also could be that 20-something American just trying to make his way in the world and live a happy, normal existence. Like I believed all of it. And by the end, when he is Kung Fu Daddy, like I believe him there too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think Shang-Chi has risen in the ranks of my favorite superheroes because of this movie. Just one movie was all it took for me to fall in love with this character and this actor.
Sometimes that's all it does take. This movie was just, I hate to say this, I hate to compare, but this movie was everything that I had hoped Iron Fist would be and wasn't. Even in, this is believable. We've got a character that is just a phenomenal actor, but the world is believable. The character, even in its highest wushu fantasy setting, it looked.
Like, look at this guy.
Look at this!
That thing is real.
What
Miss
even
Stan
are
Moran.
those things? I don't even know, but I want one as a pet.
Me too. It's apparently
There it is.
based,
There it is. Yeah.
it's based after a Chinese mythological character called pardon me if I get this wrong, Dijiang.
I saw so many Pokemon. I can't tell you how many Pokemon I saw watching this movie.
Yeah, the nine-tailed fox.
When is that one coming out? Is that Gen 7? I need that. The Keylin that Emma and I had talked about on our unicorn stream. It's like clump, 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 clump. There it goes.
Yeah, the Qilin was.
Oh yes.
That was probably the moment I laughed the hardest was when the Qilin came out, and it's just like, that's a weird horse.
Yeah,
I lost it.
Yeah.
I know what that is.
Katie reacting Katie reacting to everything. It was like these great comedic beats.
Oh man,
they didn't feel forced at all. I loved it.
I think that woman is actually brilliant. So I first became aware of her in the second Jumanji film, which, full disclosure, I love both of the Jumanji movies. I think they're freaking hilarious. They had, I guess, just enough of a fantasy bent in it to get me in there. Plus, you have Karen Gillan in there, and I already love Karen Gillan. And I think The Rock and, oh God, I can't think of his name.
Kevin Hart. Yeah,
like, please don't cancel me. Jack Black. I loved all of them. So I'm like, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great. And then she was in the second one, and she plays. Well, she's an avatar, so she actually plays a couple of different characters. But one of them, she's doing a Danny DeVito impression because she's basically playing a video game avatar inhabited by Danny DeVito, and it is so good, so funny. So I became a big fan of hers there, and then like she manages to be funny in this movie, which is really her. Let's face it, her primary role is to be some comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
But she is a
yeah.
fully realized character. She has a bit of an arc that she goes on. She has a couple of really badass moments, both in the Forever Downhill bus fight and
Mhm.
you know the arrow shot at the end. She really does get to do a lot more than some comedic relief characters do.
I love that they leaned in comedically to the quote stereotype about driving and made it so much part of the action in this movie. With first off, we meet her and they're like arguing over who's going to drive the Lamborghini. Okay. You know, and he's like, okay. And then, you know,
The Asian Jeff Gordon.
and the Asian
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon. Who's that? Yes, this is so perfect. And then she just like really steps up and she's like doing the whole downhill bobsled driving bob and weave with this double length bus. Yeah.
I love that they had her doing that, and it actually served a story purpose. It wasn't just a stupid car chase. It set up
it was
multiple points of her usefulness
Yes.
to this team.
Yeah,
not just the bus, but in the escape from the garage and the drive through the forest. Like that skill serves her well throughout the whole film.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
They give
yeah,
her one
she's
thing
the
and she does it
driver.
well.
That is her role.
Yeah,
she is the Asian Jeff Gordon.
When Shang is like, "Who's Jeff Gordon?" I'm like, "Man, I feel old." Like, really?
Yeah, I think that reference to him is outdated as well because he doesn't anymore hold the title of having the most NASCAR wins in history.
Oh no, and see, Sean probably came to the United States after Jeff Gordon's heyday in NASCAR, and I guess NASCAR probably wasn't his thing.
So he was 14 years old, and I don't know if they ever said how old he is in this film, but I would guess late 20s. So
I would say early to mid 20s, like that age after they've graduated college and not meeting up to their potential that their parents sent them to college for. That age,
yeah, so maybe been 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And Jeff hasn't
and
been.
The thing is, Jeff Gordon is famous. Like, I don't watch NASCAR, and I know who he is. Don't ask me to pick him out, but like the name I know at least, and I know he's a NASCAR driver. But,
I have watched
but
the
Sean
NASCAR.
isn't steeped in American culture the way we are.
Right. He was busy like getting beat up as a kid, to toughen him up, going on assassin missions,
His dad probably wasn't letting him watch NASCAR.
Yeah, probably not.
I would imagine. Yeah.
No, he had other things to do on Sunday afternoons.
Whereas Katie watched NASCAR.
She did.
And there's probably, like, I don't doubt that she did. We jumped over to Aquafina so quickly. I kind of want to move back to Simu Liu for a minute because I feel like there's more to be said. So, have you guys ever seen him in anything else?
No, but then again, I'm not watching too much these days. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I haven't either.
His big break kind of came with Kim's Convenience, which is based out of Toronto, obviously where he's from, in which he plays a Korean Canadian, which they kind of jokingly poke at in the opening scene where he's like, "Yeah, this guy told me to go back to Korea, Gangnam Style." He's like, "I'm a Korean, idiot." I love that. But I haven't seen Kim's Convenience, but it was one of those things kind of like Schitt's Creek, where it started in Canada and like got big in the US after a couple seasons. Like, it really caught on, but I haven't even watched it yet. So that's really all I kind of heard of him before this.
Well, I just looked up his Wikipedia page, and like he was in Pacific Rim,
which I obviously must have seen him in.
But he was like a background actor at that time. Like, his role is NA notes extra, but he was in Pacific Rim. Then he's done
a lot of extras.
Yeah. He's done a fair amount of TV work, and I just noticed he was in The Expanse for one episode.
What?
Well, it makes sense because it films.
Wow.
He was in an episode called Dandelion Sky.
The one where it opens up. Oh yeah.
I've
They're
got
in
a
the rings. They're in the ring gate, and all of the ring gates open. The dandelion sky.
yeah. I've got to look. I'm hunting it
That was
now.
one of my favorite episodes, actually.
Dandelion Sky is episode 10 of season 3, and it's so.
I love how we're delving into the expanse now.
I had my
Oh,
Expanse
He's
shirt
the
on
lieutenant
earlier.
he's the lieutenant that throws the grenade and gets disassembled by the nucleus.
Spoilies.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Don't worry, you'll forget all about it, Kate.
I will. Yeah, absolutely will.
Yeah. Well, he's in it for one episode. Pretty sure he's the lieutenant now that I think of it, because
So
it's
he was
been a
he
mi-
was
it's been
a
long enough to-
Martian. He
To
would have
what?
been a Martian. He would have been a
Yeah, he
Martian.
would have been a Martian. He would have been like Bobby was there,
Yeah,
Holden was in
part of that
nucleus and yeah. Anyway,
that poor people strike team with Bobby. Yeah.
yes. So hey, awesome. He's been in one of my favorite TV shows.
Which just happened to start up again this week.
We'll be doing Expanse coverage in like a couple of weeks.
You got to
Like-
let it build up.
Well, like we're like 2 weeks from now, because we'll have 3 episodes to talk about. Anyway, let's talk about Simu Liu.
He just
I
got
have a
street
question,
cred, man.
and Sean is right here with me. What did happen to his shirt?
Hey, what's his face told him to?
She
John
told
told
him
him
to take
to
it off.
take it
Yeah.
off before he
Take
went
it
in.
off.
Then that whole Aquafina, where's your shirt?
Where's your
Yeah.
shirt? And then he's like, eh. And the thing is, she's like,
Mm.
That's how I
mean-
know that they're not an item, because she'd seen him shirtless by now, and she would not have been surprised by that.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, she wasn't surprised, but she's just like, where is it? What happened to your shirt, buddy? But
But then she's like, I appreciate this.
I mean,
But I do
don't we
appreciate
all
that.
appreciate it. Let's be honest.
yeah, he's.
Mhm.
I posted some Simu thirst earlier.
Yeah, I saw volleyball.
Yeah.
pictures.
He is
She did.
100% my type. He plays basketball. He plays volleyball. He could sing. He can sing in Mandarin. He's Canadian.
And
He's a Star Wars nerd.
he's done a lot of work for Getty Images.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said like the most ironic one was when he ended up on the front of an accounting textbook, because that was one of his first jobs out of college, was working for a
Did
big
you
four firm,
watch-
but he was terrible at it and he hated it.
Did any? I'm assuming you watched the
Hot ones.
Hot Ones with
Yes.
Simu Liu that came out like last
Yes.
week, maybe. Oh,
Yeah.
it was so good.
Yeah.
I
love
need to
Hot
watch
Ones
it.
anyway.
He
They
goes on a
had,
Star Wars rant.
Yeah,
Oh.
like he's a genuine Star Wars fan too.
Yeah. See,
No
we forever
idea.
in Toronto.
Yeah, it was just if you haven't seen that Hot Ones episode, go watch it. It's really good. They had oh gosh, Tom Holland was on the most recent one, and it was really good too.
What even is that?
Hot Ones.
Oh my god, Nessie.
It's the
so
show
great.
with hot questions and even hotter wings.
Oh, the Hot Wings show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, just watching him dying from the heat of the sauce, just chugging boba.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that crap. But yeah, he was such a sweetheart in that interview too. You can tell he's got a lot of when you have 200,000 Scovilles racing through your veins, it's hard to not be genuine,
Yeah.
And he was such a lovely guy the whole time. I mean, he was hurting, you could tell, but
And then he was apologizing for it because he's the most Canadian person ever.
Right.
I'm sorry. We don't have to apologize.
Yeah.
This is the premise of the show.
right. Anyway, great interview
Yeah.
with Simu Liu over there. Go check it out if you haven't. What else can we say? I mean, we kind of talked broadly, and I guess we're talking about him as a performer, not so much like the specifics of the story. Do y'all want to talk about Awkwafina some more? Or should we move on to the real star of the movie?
Wong?
No, Sir Ben Kingsley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, hold on. Is
Trevor.
Potter in the chat? I haven't seen him.
I haven't seen him either. Oh, I think
yeah.
he's working. I think he's at work.
So
I was gonna try to
yeah.
summon him with Howard the Duck talk, but
Right.
When they go from one prison cell to his, and he's like, talking to Morris or whatever, and I was just like, why is there a Liverpool scarf over there? Like,
because he's from Liverpool.
yeah, but I was still like, and this is before I even like zeroed in on Ben Kingsley or his, or the pet Morris. So I'm just like, not even, there's Ben Kingsley, but my eyes are zeroed in on the Liverpool scarf, and I'm just like, what's going on here? What?
You would.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Kelly.
I am 0% surprised that that's what you noticed.
Well,
0%.
it's just like
100%.
it's just like, oh, what have I been suckered into? What's going on here? Oh, yeah.
Totally ignored the whole Macbeth thing. Just
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, wait, what?
How
Yeah.
brilliant is it, though, that they brought that back? Because the Mandarin in the books, or in the original in the comics, is in fact a very like a bad stereotype Fu Manchu mustache
Yeah.
Chinese man, and they really subverted that in Iron Man 3. But to pick up that story thread and have, I guess I don't even know the name of the dad, but Shang-Chi's father.
Zhu Wenwu.
Shu
Wenwu.
Wenwu.
Shu Wenwu, yes.
Yeah, Shu being the surname.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But like, to tie it back together, because they're talking about me, and the Mandarin is known for wielding the 10 rings, which, at least as far as the comic books are concerned, are rings for your fingers, and they are alien technology, each of which has a unique power. But he tries to pass himself off as a wizard. Basically, he uses superstition to create fear, which is why he's sort of one of the classic Iron Man villains, because it's technologist versus mystic, and they get to tell a dichotomy. They get to look at that dichotomy in the story between those two, but to lift him and put him over here, and to change the way the 10 rings work, and bring in Shang-Chi as part of it. Like, I feel like this is a very cobbled together from a lot of different comic books, and they made something that just, in the end, makes me go, this is what you need to be doing with your comic book material.
yeah.
Yeah, there were so many contradictory elements between the comics and trying to erase that problematic stuff, starting with the Fu Manchu, running into the Mandarin, running into Zhengzhou, and then dealing with the MCU stuff and how they played that in Iron Man 3. That character, that villain should not have worked, but it was brilliant. It was masterful. And part of it was giving Tony Leung a little bit of leeway to breathe some of his own ideas and performance into it. He didn't do any previous research about this comic book character before doing this movie. And so he didn't have any preconceived notions. He just, did his thing and brought his emotionality to the performance. And it worked. It should not have worked, but he takes over Killmonger for me as like one of the best villains in the entire MCU.
Yeah, I agree. Like, he was so relatable. It was such a sad state of affairs to find him in.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the whole arc was very well done.
Yeah. Going back to Trevor, too. Again, it shouldn't have
Trevor.
But something tells me that they've actually kind of been planning this for a while, because the one shot that they did in 2014 saw him being broken out of prison and taken back to the Mandarin. And I'm like, why would you go and make an entire thing? Why would you hire Ben Kingsley? Why would you get more actors? The sets, the whatever they did for this. Even though it's only 13 minutes, it probably cost them a fair amount of money to produce. and they leave it on this cliffhanger of like, I'm taking you to see the Mandarin, or like the guy whose name you stole. And I'm like, why would they do that if he wasn't going to come back, or if they were just going to kill him off? So, yeah, I personally loved the Iron Man 3 twist. So to see him come back and to be just so funny in this was awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent point.
Like,
yeah.
I made my peace with Iron Man 3. I was one of those that, like, I felt deprived of the Mandarin because he was in, like, the way they played him up in the marketing materials and all that. So I was ready for a Ben Kingsley Mandarin, and then he's Trevor. But, like, it is what it is. But he was so well placed in this film that I couldn't help but love him. I know some people are like, he's fine, or maybe he was overused a little too much, but I don't know. Something about that, like, perma-stoned, living on the clouds, headed in a different place the whole time. It's just so funny to me.
I love the fact that they absolutely needed him to interpret for Morris.
Yeah, who was the hero of this entire adventure.
Yeah.
I love his line when they're in the car. He's like, I am but a vessel for, this creature who knows more about the universe than we'll ever know.
Mm-hmm.
Just the best little he's like, you can go.
The whole as they were going into this the Ta Lo, I was like, if I have to watch one of these magical creatures die, I'm gonna rage, like, because I can't take that. My poor heart. I can't take that.
I love the, like, I mean, it's not going to surprise anybody for me to mention Dungeons and Dragons, but it had that high fantasy feel in Ta Lo, and yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I really appreciate that. Trevor, the one who's, like, basically perma-stoned, is the one that can communicate with the more, like, spiritual creatures.
Yeah.
One of the things I loved was that it sort of
90%.
He's 90% sure.
No, 19.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, it starts out very grounded, very, like, typical Wuxia, but then it moves more to that wuxia, like the more mystical, historical, mythological type of Chinese literary fantasy. And then it just goes off the deep end. Bonkers, throwing everything at the wall from Chinese mythology. We got dragons, we got six-legged chicken pigs, we've got...
Yeah. What did Katie say about, like, magical, like, water dragon map or something like that? What did she say?
Oh, that was such a good line, too.
Yes. I can't remember it.
I'll see if I can find it.
I'm sorry, Aquafina. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I can't remember it exactly either.
But it's like, that's a great way to put it.
There's something about it vomiting up a water map or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
The dragon just vomited a water map to so I don't know what's real anymore.
But, like, I don't want to get too far into the ending, but I want to talk a little bit about the scope. Like, as far as the MCU and the trajectory of it, we've gone, to, like, saving the universe. Now it's this mystical village. It's a village. We just need to save that, even though in extension that is essentially the world. We're saving the world, but I like that we care so much about this isolated piece of paradise, and we're emotionally invested in them saving it.
Yeah.
And the whole, the villain dynamic is shifting as well. So it's like, okay, now there's this crazy monster that we need to worry about.
Yeah, you go along thinking Wenwu is the villain, and he is. He still is ultimately the antagonist.
But
then, like, 2/3 of the way through, they tell you about this giant thing.
Yeah,
like, I didn't hate him,
Yeah, like, he is the antagonist, but he's not the bad guy.
Yeah. I realized that that's not where it was going to end up when that initial attempt of his to go into Talo was stopped. And as he is fighting, with Sean and Jailing's mother, like it's and they fall in love, or there's first of all, beautiful fight choreography. It's oh my god, again, a visual feast. But it was like that. I was like, oh, I like him. Oh no, this isn't good.
You start to see him through Lee's eyes, and you're like,
Yeah.
I kind of get it.
I was like, this isn't going to end well.
Yeah.
It's Tony Leung who can still get it.
Yeah.
He was in one of my other favorite movies. I think we covered it on John's channel. It's a film called Hero.
Yeah.
It's a Jet Li movie. Jet Li is like the primary hero. He is the hero in Hero, but there is a character in that film called Broken Sword, who is played by Tony Leung, and God, that movie is great for anybody that hasn't seen Hero, starring Jet Li. Who else is in it? Donnie Yen, Tony Leung, Shang-Chi. Like, go check out that movie. It's fantastic. It's one of the best wuxia films, at least, one of the best I've ever seen.
It's like a who's who of Hong Kong actors, basically.
So, who have we not talked about in this film?
Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, okay.
Speaking of people who can still get it.
I was when she rolls up, I was like, I knew Michelle Yeoh was gonna be. I was wondering where she was. Yeah.
I want whatever anti-aging concoction she's been bathing in, because she, at 59, she's more of a badass than I will ever be.
Yeah.
Yeah. The woman is incredible. I will never not have a crush on Michelle Yeoh.
And she plays Lee's sister, correct?
Yes. Auntie Nan.
Young Nan. And in her, when she and Sean were having that little training montage, she certainly showed her physicality as well.
And I would not be surprised to learn that was 100% her. Maybe some of them that you don't like, if you're not seeing her face, maybe there's a stunt double. Again, she's pushing 60 years old, but I wouldn't be surprised to learn that she actually did all of it.
I gotta get some Tai Chi going on or something, because stuff is, I need those kind of moves.
Well, she started off making Hong Kong action flicks. Like, there is a movie where Michelle Yeoh, not a stunt person, jumps a motorcycle off a ramp onto a moving train, and like very nearly biffs it. Even like, it's one of those type things where she lands and the back wheel just barely makes it on there. You should just look at Google or search YouTube for Michelle Yeoh motorcycle, and I'm sure you'll find it, because it's a super famous clip from Super Cop, I think. Anyway, some action. I loved her ever since I first saw her in some of the old Chinese movies I watched, and then Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. My God. Like, she's arguably the main character of that film.
Yeah. Just that long fight sequence where she keeps changing weapons.
Yeah.
She can get it.
Yeah. And she can act too. She can really, really act, which is why she keeps getting work. Like, she's in Star Trek Discovery for 2-3 seasons till she got a different job. Maybe this one. Pretty sure it was Super Cop 2. You might be right, Sean. You might be right.
I loved the fight choreography. I don't know if one person was in charge of it over the whole movie, or the different fights had different choreographers, but they felt very unique and very well executed.
Yeah.
And paid homage to some of the greats too, like especially in that bus fight scene. You're definitely nods to Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan.
thought the whole time, is this a Jackie Chan movie? I swear to God,
Yeah,
this looks like something that would have come out of his his mind.
Well, that jacket move was stolen
Yeah.
almost
Yeah,
directly.
that is
I've
100%
seen
Jack
that move.
Chan.
Yeah.
And
Like I know it's
Jacket on. Jacket on, jacket off. Yeah.
oh,
The jacket was
no,
reversible,
don't
too.
do that. Don't do that.
Oh, come on.
Like that movie is fine, but it's not. It's not canon. I'm sorry.
Wait, what movie is
It's
that?
not canon. Karate Kid.
Oh,
It's not canon.
The Jaden
Mhm.
Smith Karate Kid, like it's fine, and Jackie Chan actually really kind of sells it in that film too. But yeah,
yeah, no, I loved the action of this. Sometimes I get really bored with action. That's how I always am. But this one, every action sequence had plot and character development. Everything
Mhm.
served a
Mhm.
purpose to show you motivation or to show you growth or to show you some inner conflict for these characters. And everything had just this perfect flow to it from, like I was saying earlier, very like grounded street level, hard boiled kung fu, right through that more mystical, fantastical
Mhm.
stuff. And then just crazy, rings.
Marvel Act 3 CGI.
Yeah, exactly. But it just stood out to me how different it was. It didn't feel like we were taking a break for a badass action scene. All of the action served a very specific purpose and had very distinct styles for the different people, and it played together so beautifully.
Mhm.
I as someone who is not an action aficionado or even really much of an action fan, I caught that. I caught what they were trying to do with this. And to Kelly's earlier point, I think there were different choreographers and coordinators and whatnot. But as far as I know, I think the overall stunt supervisor and choreography supervisor was Brad Allen, who worked with Jackie Chan for years and was a big part of his stunt team. It was his last movie that he did before he passed away in August. So his fingerprints are all over this.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like what Kate said about like the purpose of the action. Like the fights had a conversation unto themselves. Like during a lot of the fights there was a conversation happening, but but the fight itself it matches the flow of that conversation and whether the conversation is an actual argument or not. But yeah, I love the brief but awesome fight between him and his sister, Sean and Jailing, in the dome or in the ring.
Cage.
Yeah, in the cage. Yeah.
The cage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She points to Rock.
Yeah. Hey, Rock.
Hi, Rock. Hey. Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite scenes was that cage fight. There's just, oh my God. Can we talk about Maura Zhang for a second? Because she is magnificent.
Mhm.
Yes.
She is. I'm really excited to see what they do with her in the future. I'm hoping that they give her a Disney Plus show with the 10 Rings stuff. I think that'll be perfect because then you can have these sort of like episodic things.
Yes.
Really good for her. Yeah.
Like watch her run her underworld, like chaotic good assassins guild.
Chaotic good, debatable.
Chaotic.
It's chaotic.
Yeah.
I mean, like look, you could set her up to be a foil to the character that
that what you needed?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus is playing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Which would be fun.
Yeah. I like the whole
I'm late. Did Nessie love this? Nessie loved this. Yes, Aaron.
We all loved it.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure you arrived precisely when you meant to. But we were just talking about Maura Zhang and her contribution to this film.
Her introduction was legendary.
It was
so good. Just coming out of it, like literally coming out of the shadows. And she just kicks butt. Just the physicality she displays in that fight, and I think she did a lot of it herself, which is awesome. And then they go and have that conversation.
Aaron.
she's so playful and so like, yeah, I started an underground fighting ring. What of it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. While you were parking cars, I was setting up this underground fighting
Yeah.
ring. And
Yeah.
I mean, not just like regular fighters either. I mean, look,
Mhm.
look at these guys. This is, not your typical, Saturday night street fight. You've got here,
Yeah.
Yeah, just like the whole introduction to her sort of underground empire and the walkthrough, and they open the door and then it's blasting hip hop music, Bus Boy, and they're walking through. Oh, I really like your spiked mask. Thanks so much.
I like your spike face. More spike face, please.
It's just
Yeah.
it was a great time. The fight between them was really well paced.
I mean,
Even though they took a break in the middle for that heavy exposition flashback.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then
it
it ends and she just kicks him in the face.
like hard, dude.
Just one
Hard.
shots him.
Good night, brothers.
Game
I mean,
over.
it's like you can tell these kids, one's like classic overachiever.
Yeah, there's
Could possibly has some daddy issues going on
The
here.
entire MCU has daddy issues. Like, just add it to the pile.
I mean,
all right. That
if
explains
daddy
why I'm
issues
here.
are going to, motivate you to open up an underground, otherworldly fight club. I mean,
Dad's got his group of assassins. He's not going to give it to me, so I got to make my own. So
Yeah, and
here I
really
go.
I really
Foreshadowing?
like how they had Awkwafina positioned to make commentary on that. Like, hell yeah, girl, you go for it. Like there wasn't a whole lot of interaction between Awkwafina and Menger's character, but like what they gave us was so good. Just like mad respect.
So
I like your
I
pants.
so as they were like going into Macau, I was like, oh, I love her pants, and then of course Xiling says that, and I was like, yeah,
right?
oh, I like her
Vindicated.
pants. Yeah.
It's just how it just flips like that. That the conversation just flips from the mundane world right back into the underground or the fantasy world, if you speak about it in here, is just so quick and so good. It's just like they're kicking one another's ass one minute and talking about fashion the next. Like that's a nice pair of capris you got on. I love the color. What?
Again with the sibling vibes. Like it get very much so like
Mhm.
Sean and Katie are so close and like siblings and they're just meeting, but like they all already kind of feel like a little family.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed pretty much everyone. Every performance in this movie. I think we've touched all the major characters at this point. I think, but I wanted to bring up one more, who's not a major character, is a named character though, and he's called Guangbo.
Yes.
So,
R.I.P.
did anybody recognize Guangbo?
No.
I did not, but I have since kind of caught up, shall we say.
Okay.
I watched Kung Fu Hustle last night, and my
Oh,
brain is still trying
really?
to recover. Yes.
Really?
Aw.
Because I was just about to flash this
The
picture up.
landlord.
That is the same actor. On the right, he is that's Guangbo. On the left, that is I can't think of the
He's just called
character's
the
name, but
landlord.
I think he's just called the landlord. I think you're right.
Yeah,
But
the
he
landlord
is
and the landlady. They don't
the
really have names.
landlord, and yeah,
Yeah. And Sean has a Kung Fu Hustle poster on his wall
mhm.
Oh,
in his
nice.
apartment. Yeah, so nice callback to that.
And
Yeah,
if any
if you
of you
haven't seen
have-
Kung Fu Hustle, go watch.
it is a wushu comedy, and it is super funny.
It's hilarious. At first, when I was
funny.
watching, I was like, "What even is this? I don't know if it's going to be my thing." And then there's this one chase scene that is straight out of Looney Tunes.
Yes.
And that was when I bought it.
Like their feet their arms are like
Like,
this, but their feet are a blur. It is.
It's ridiculous.
And
That's
there's
like
some.
Sonic or something. What the hell?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
half Wile E. Coyote, half Sonic the Hedgehog, like
Yeah.
half slapstick comedy. It is the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever seen in a
Yeah,
good way.
I
Add
love
this
Kung
to
Fu
ever
Hustle.
increasing list of movies to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on Netflix in Canada. I don't know if it's there for you guys, but it was here for me. So go ahead and check it out.
Yeah, I had seen Kung Fu Hustle a few times, so I recognized him. Although, with the beard and he's aged a good bit. But I was still like, landlord.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in that movie too, you see the use of like they had the three kind of different schools where you had the staff, the iron rings, the iron fist, and the kicks. I
Yeah,
can't
the
remember
way of
like
the kicking legs.
yeah, the way of the kick. Yeah, and so you get the Hungar rings depicted in that movie, which was a lot of the inspiration for this updated version of
This
the 10
version
rings.
of the 10 rings, yes.
It very much fits that classic martial arts
Mhm.
technique. I thought that was really cool. And they sort of like fused two ideas from the comics to get that as well. You get the sort of like McLuhan alien rings, and you get the quantum bands, both kind of seeming to have an influence.
I just call them slinky arms.
Yeah, everyone
Because-
loves a slinky.
This was something that I would do as a kid. Like I'd put the slinkies on, sling the slinkies back.
Well, they really. Okay, we'll save it for after the mid roll. We've been going for about an hour, so it is time for a mid roll.
God, that went fast.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we've covered basically like the actors. Now we can talk about plot and individual scenes and whatnot. So,
Okay.
all right. But first things first. Thanks everyone who's here right now watching live. We appreciate you. You are the best kind of fans there are. If you're watching this later, that's okay. Like, we don't hate you for it. Not everybody is available when we do the live stream, but we love you too, just not quite as much as the people who are here live.
You're missing out on half the fun with the chat.
Right. Like, the chat is what makes the difference in this format anyway. So if you can, try to be here live for our stuff. It's just way more fun.
What do you expect us to react to each other?
Right. Hey man, the chat makes a huge difference and y'all know it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Please remember to like and subscribe because it's YouTube and that's, we're trying to grow our community. Yeah, Kelly's got it. It's down there somewhere.
It would be like, it's like, I think it'd be over there. Yeah. Somewhere.
Yeah.
in this
Anyway.
area. Yeah.
It's YouTube. Y'all know what a subscribe button looks like.
Mhm.
Y'all know what a like button looks like. So I would appreciate it if you would do both of those things. We also need to make sure we tell our patrons thank you. Patrons pay for our streaming software and helped me upgrade to green screen before and all that stuff. So we love you, patrons. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Our Patreon High Council is led by this gentleman right here, Sean, aka Ridiculous Ed Tollett, our alpha patron. Thank you, Sean. Much respect. Drive safe. You're probably getting off work right about now. Drive safe on your way home. I hope you get to listen to I think he listens to the back half while driving.
Mhm.
Anyway, our High Council also consists of Lord John Bronsteen the Wise, Sixto Sounds, aka JP the Act Grinder, and of course, the lovely Lady Leaf Underhill. High Council, what will we do without you? Die of starvation, that's what.
Yeah.
But they are also aided by the lords and ladies of the realm, who are Ryan Stavka, the Russian Quartermaster, Reflective Rambling, and Arch-Maester Emma. Thanks so much, patrons. We love you guys. We got a link to the Patreon down in the description if you would like to join. Yeah, and I would personally thank you very much every week, live on stream. That brings us to what's coming up next. Kelly, Kate, when are you starting that YouTube channel?
The 15th of never.
The 15th of never.
The 11th.
December 77th.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I got you.
Mhm.
I
Okay, okay, Rugrats.
I still want Kelly's like nautical history channel
No,
shit for brain.
Autistical knowledge.
That will never not be funny.
Like, oh man, yeah. Oh God. I'm thinking about like, making a YouTube, and then like I will see YouTube comments and I'm like, nope. My poor self-esteem just cannot do that. I can't do.
I got you. I mean, I'm just really glad whenever we can get either one of you as a guest. You're both a lot of fun.
I'm sensitive.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I got you.
My fragile ego cannot take YouTube comments.
You know what the most common comment in my comment section is? Any video, some random link to pornography.
Wow.
I usually have to delete.
That's a win-win.
I usually have to delete a couple of them a week.
I appreciate the effort.
The bots are really doing their job.
This is just part of the service I provide.
You're welcome.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Nessie, what do you have coming up on the Unspun Yarn?
All right. After I've taken this last chunk of the year off and thought, yeah, we'll start up again after the first of the year. We're gonna rev up with the Magical Menagerie again. Everybody's been wanting that back, so we'll start that up again. And
Nice.
So season 2, look for it. You may have some returning guests. Who knows?
I'm already going to throw my hat out there for D&D Dragons Part 2.
Oh yeah, that was a really popular one too. We should definitely revisit that, especially after this last year of us playing together.
And there has been some new lore come out about dragons recently.
I may or may not be receiving something from Santa Claus to that effect.
With the name Fizzban on the cover, maybe? Oh, look at that. Dan, putting in work, my man.
Nice. Thanks, my man. Oh,
Kelly, you've appeared on Dan's channel before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Been over on Voice of Geekdom.
I have on, Dan was kind enough to have me as a guest, along with Matt. Oh God, I forgot his channel. But we talked a little bit about Tolkien and the sea.
Nice.
But I also run the Voice of Geekdom Facebook page.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you, like, as far as me having something coming up, do I? Dork Lords, thank you, Dan.
Am I supposed to inform you now that you do? Because I was literally just about to segue into that. Because Dan, Voice of Geekdom, will be on this channel next week.
Awesome.
What?
Hey, John. I hope you're having a blast, buddy. We're having a great time without you.
Yeah. Go away.
I almost just gave you the double finger, but then
no, we love you, buddy. I hope you have a blast.
to blur it out.
We're all super jealous, but we all also hope you're having fun.
I don't.
Yeah, you do. Don't lie.
Unlike some people, we can talk objectively about the MCU.
Right. Anyway, we're doing mid-roll right now, so
yeah.
But Dan will be on the channel next week. Nessie, you got to save people next week, so we're just gonna have to live without having you on.
I'm sorry.
But Dan will be here. John will be back. Kelly, you're definitely on the list to get invited. I was gonna send the call out tonight, but like.
What?
I mean,
is this my thing now?
Live stream
you're a Tolkien nerd, like you are.
No. As far as like my, my invitation or, to be on channels, we're not as bad as John yet. As far
Oh
as
no, I always do I
getting-
always try to do the week before,
right.
unless it's a big
Although-
one. Like,
Although
asked-
you have asked me a night before one time.
I'm sure I did.
Yeah. It was. I
That's
don't
why
know
I
what
said
I want to
try.
do. Kelly, do you want to come on tomorrow and talk about D&D? That's how it went down.
I did say try. I think it was a last minute thing for me
Yeah.
too. But anyway, yeah,
But I love that that's now my thing.
right. But if you would like to join us next week, we would be delighted to have you.
I would love
I
to.
mean,
Not you, Kate. You're not allowed.
I have asked you
I've got
during a
enough-
live stream, Kelly. I have just asked you during a live stream if you'll just join me. So
Oh, that's right. Yes, I did. Apparently,
That's
this
true.
is my thing. Yeah. Okay.
Right. The
Oy
less
vey.
You hopped
no
on
notice.
John's that one
the
time in the
less
Hobbit.
notice you give Kelly, the better she is.
And then there's me. I take like weeks to prepare for things.
Yeah, but I've seen you do like full on cosplay too.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
your background is set and stuff.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun with this stuff. So
Yeah.
this is a me thing.
I was about to say we appreciate it.
We do. We do.
You
I
look
probably have more
lovely
fun.
as well.
But yeah, all this, we're sort of dancing around the topic, but December 19th, 2021 is the 20th anniversary of the release of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. And that is what we will be discussing next week. So, and we'll have like all the hardcore Tolkien nerds plus me will be there. I mean, I'm not a hardcore Tolkien nerd, but I do really love those films.
But you do
So-
really look like Gandalf.
Yeah. Maybe I need to try to get a Gandalf hat. Huh? I've got a week.
Yeah, do it. I'm sure they have one. on
Okay, I'll work on mine too. Okay.
Okay, work. Yeah, get that
Okay.
beard going. It helps if
will.
you go like this.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, just do that all week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's that. The week after that, I'm thinking we're going to be talking season 6 of The Expanse.
Yeah.
The week after that, I think we'll be talking some Witcher. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. But oh yeah, this guy knows what he's about. Thank you, Dan. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Dan.
And I will also say we have a get together coming up in like less than a month.
Is it? It's hard to believe. I don't even
I
want
know.
to say it.
I
don't
should
even
really
wanna
book my
say
flight.
But in less than a week, many of us will be gathering together here in the Dallas area. We have a nice big Airbnb. There are spots left for you if you want to join. Now, it ain't exactly cheap,
Even
but
you.
but when you talk about a week-long vacation, it is not that much at all. Ask them, because guess who's going to be there? She'll be there. She'll be there. She'll be there.
As long as I can get a 24-hour COVID test.
Right.
Your favorite nerds will be there.
Right.
Mhm.
This guy will be there. This
Cool.
lady will be there. There's a couple more people who were in the chat earlier.
This lady will be there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if she is. She's told me she might not make it. Would you mind putting her up there?
Sacrilege.
She was supposed to come when it was in October, but now that it's in January, it might pose some
Yeah.
troubles for her in terms of taking time off from work.
Some of you will be receiving Christmas cards here soon, and some of the cards I did remember to actually write. See you soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so, Aaron. We're
Oh,
gonna miss
Aaron.
you,
Okay.
So
but
sad.
like we'll miss you. But that being
I'll
said, a
have to
few
wait
people had to
So Ice and Fire Con.
right. Ice and Fire Con.
That'll be right on the heels.
Ice and Fire Con.
So
Yeah.
there are a few spots open for Here Be Con, is all I'm saying. And if somebody really just wants to come hang out with us for a week and do nerd stuff and hang out and have a few drinks and sing some karaoke and try some Tex-Mex and tie some
Play some
barbecue and
D&D.
I
play
think there's a
some
hot
D&D
tub.
and maybe a couple other things. We're gonna have a blast.
We're gonna watch Empire Strikes Back.
again.
Are we? Oh, okay.
What's the plan? Was it Emma, or are we just gonna watch the whole trilogy? I can't remember.
Probably the whole trilogy will be on.
The
at
whole
some point.
trilogy. I mean, seriously, it's the whole trilogy.
Right. Okay.
We're gonna watch
Aaron's going
the
to Ice and
original.
Fire Con.
God.
I'm also
Hey,
going to Ice and
In
Fire Con in
chronological
April.
order.
I have
So
a
is
serious
Nessie.
question.
Yes.
Are there still tickets available for Ice and Fire Con?
Yes, but you better get them now.
Yes.
There's like so many things happening.
I know. At least it's at the end of April, Ice and Fire Con. So you've got a little bit more time to plan. And the tickets are not that expensive for a con ticket.
I think I'm going to Las Vegas for that Game of Thrones
in
thing.
January,
Yeah.
like the week after.
No,
February.
February.
It's like
Okay.
a month later.
Okay, a month
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Jelly. I have a wedding I have to travel for on Canada Day, so there goes the travel budget for the year, I think, between these two. So I don't know about the
Aw.
others. But
Well,
yeah.
still, if you want to come to HereBeCon, come to Texas in the middle of the winter. It's probably warmer than where you live,
There
Yeah.
will be cake.
and there will be
fun.
cake because
There will be a Kate B Day.
Because I also think that Mrs. Duncan the Tall will be joining us, at least for some of the time. She lives locally, so I think she's just going to come and hang out for a day or two. You guys
Awesome.
know her, Mrs. Duncan the Tall, CC.
Yeah,
was
we
in the
were in
chat
the
earlier.
a lot.
But yeah, there's going to be, I don't know, there's a little more than a dozen of us going to be there. And we got room for a couple more. All right, I think that's everything. Can
Come
we
to HereBeCon.
come to HereBeCon? All right, so let's get back to Shang-Chi.
Yes.
One of my favorite shots in the whole movie, and it's a heartbreaker, is early on when they are showing, I'm going to look at the name so I can say it correctly again, Shu Wenwu, when they show him early on, like in the past, like in the prologue of the film even. And he's charging that army on horseback, and he's waving the rings in front of him to create a shield. And then he gets close and he like fires them at the ground to fly into the air and crash among them and start like that horse is decimated in that shot, and it's really unfortunate. It's kind of heartbreaking, but it shows you really like immediately who he is, what he's capable of. An entire army couldn't stand before him, him by himself. And it really establishes him as an incredibly powerful antagonist.
When it comes to the power of the rings, I have to specify the rings, not the ring. When it does make him immortal. Now, when he gave up the rings, or I guess put them away, I guess if they were still in, because he did not appear to age. Of course, this also might be an Asian thing, but he did not appear to age after, as Sean and Xialing were growing up. He didn't get any older, so I guess still having the rings in his possession. Is he just immortal? Just
I don't think so. I would say that it's just that he only aged 10 years, and if you age from 30 to 40 and your hair doesn't go gray, there might not be a whole lot of difference. Let's be honest.
Yeah. It wasn't even like that long, because once Lee died, he put the rings back on.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was only about 7 or 8 years that he had them off, probably 8 years. So, and then he put them back on for the whole 10 years that Sean was in San Francisco.
Yep. And he was just a kid then, and so he was 7 or 8 years old when his mom died.
Like
7.
I don't know if you guys have seen the Honest trailer for Shang-Chi.
Oh,
no, I haven't.
But Awkwafina is like calendar girl. Like she knows how long it's been since this happened and how old he was when that happened, and she's the one that delivers a lot of that timing exposition. So they called her calendar girl in the.
Well, she specifically says like we've been friends 10 years, like, and it's just like, all right, there's some background right there.
Right, and then like. Your mother died when you were 7. You were sent to kill a man when you were 14. That's Awkwafina.
Yeah.
So she is the official timekeeper of Shang-Chi, much like much like Wheezy Squeeze Box is the official timekeeper of Here Be Dragon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about the prologue earlier, Stephen, when they wouldn't differentiate between like where exactly when Wushu actually like found them or stole them or whatever, and again they didn't clarify that. I was like, I feel like this is going to be important later. it was something that I locked into my brain. Like I feel like this is going to, you know,
Yeah, mystery
yeah.
origin of these
Mhm.
10 rings. That would never come back.
Yeah, it really ties him
Never
into
knew
whatever's
that.
happening in Phase
Yeah.
4. Like, just the whole stinger mid-credit scene where it's like there's a beacon and nobody knows what this tech is or who made it or how we found it or exactly when. I'm just like, you hooked me. Classic.
Yep.
Classic Marvel. Gotta go watch another movie, but I'm here
Yeah.
for it.
That's what they do. Like,
Yeah.
oh, speaking
They
of,
trap us.
thank you,
Weezy.
Weezy. We appreciate you. Like,
Yes.
nary a 420 goes by and she doesn't ring the bell.
Yeah. Your services are greatly appreciated to humanity.
But we also appreciate their
Right.
like the bondage that we have to the MCU universe. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, we're strapped
Yeah,
in for
got
the ride.
it,
They've
yeah,
got us.
Marvel.
We're fine.
Like, I've heard people say that all in the MCU movie is a commercial for the next movie, and I'm like, I do
So
not. Well, no, I don't buy that at all. Like,
Same. Yeah.
the
No,
film is the film is the film. Now, the end credit scene,
The end
that's
credit.
a commercial for the next movie. But
Yes.
like, so that's just it's connective tissue.
It's hype.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the tendons that holds together the rest of the 22,
Mm-hmm.
20.
It's that
This was 24.
background blue, of the past 20 years. It's kept
Right.
coming back over and over for, the next one. And like, damn it, Marvel, you hooked me again.
This is the Marvel thing, though. They've built their brand almost entirely on this interconnected narrative. And as I was saying in the MCU stream back in the summer, when you watch everything all together, it really does feel like one big, long story of this, like, huge, expansive, now multiverse. And so, yeah, what Stephen just said about them all just being commercials for the next movie is extremely reductive
Yeah.
and kind of a bullshit criticism to make of a film franchise that built their entire reputation on this type of storytelling.
Right. Like, I tend to think of it like, what if you made epic films out of each POV chapter in say, come on, brain, A Song of Ice and Fire, or like made a trilogy of films out of all the POV chapters of certain characters, and you got to see their highs and lows, and of course, the MCU does it with action heroes, so we don't get the Sansa chapters, so to speak, but that's all it is to me. It's long format storytelling broken up into digestible
POV
chunks.
format.
And you're right. It's blurs the line between television and cinema in a really interesting way, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody skips the end credits anymore. Usually people would walk out of the theater once the credits start rolling. No.
Nope.
I'll bet
Sit your ass down.
I'll bet ushers like hate that though, because they're waiting on everybody to leave so they can come in and clean. But they're like,
I just always wonder about the people who get up and I'm like, where have you been for the last 14 years? Like,
do you not care? Yeah.
And they started all the way back with the first Iron Man. There was an end credit scene there with that introduced Nick Fury.
Nick Fury, yeah.
Was it originally in the theatrical release though, or was it added later?
Don't make me lie to you, so I'm not going to answer that.
I don't know either.
I can't remember whether it was like added to a later DVD release or something.
Like a retcon.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Who cares? It's there now.
Yeah, it's a thing now, and I'm here for it.
It is in existence. Yes.
Yeah, like sometimes some of the most memorable things for me coming out of the theater have been these stingers, and I'm like for those of you who haven't seen Eternals yet, the mid-credit stinger, just January 12th, brace yourselves.
Yeah, I haven't
So
seen it yet. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for it to come on streaming, but I'll watch it pretty quickly after that.
Yeah.
And I'm
Mom,
liking how
mom coming
they're
in with a thick burn, by
Mama
the way.
Betsy, Mama Betsy got some got some jokes.
Someone get some ointment for that burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm liking the way that they're using the end credits on this one to tie in Shang-Chi into the greater Marvel tapestry. We got that great Carol Danvers and Bruce Banner,
Bruce,
so
not Professor Hulk.
tie in.
I was wondering what happened to Hulk Banner.
Yeah, that's a good question.
There's
Yeah.
a good answer to that, I'm sure, which we'll
Yeah.
see one. And of
like-
course, Wong basically just taking him by the hand and just pulling him through the portal into the mysteries and strangeness that is
So-
Doctor Strange.
Okay, so here's the thing. After the battle, after the fight in the in the cage, and Wong leaves when he steps into a portal.
Mhm.
What is that? Is that the prison?
That's what a lot of people are theorizing it is.
Okay, because
It
I
looks
was
like a
I was
containment
like
zone,
literally
no
like I was just like,
What-
where
I
he
guess
going?
when he leaves, but like he fights Abomination, and then he does the this thing he does with his hand,
Yeah.
and then he goes through. I guess I just didn't notice what was on the other side of the portal and assumed it was the Sanctum Sanctorum.
No,
No,
it looked like a big containment cell, which led everyone basically to think it's the Raft, which is probably where he's been held since the original Hulk movie.
Oh, Abomination.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. I was
They
thinking
just
you were thinking
pull him
Wong
out
was
for,
going
like,
to
weeks
I was
something.
like,
breaks.
yeah, Wong's not arrested. He's all right.
I love that Wong is in this movie, but I also kind of wish that he had been in this movie less. Because I think him showing up at the very end would have had so much more impact if we hadn't already seen him.
Maybe,
No, I
but
like.
I still appreciated it in being.
Yeah, I
there.
get what they
Wong
were
is
doing with
great.
it. And like that, they had to find a way to remind us of Abomination for some reason, obviously. And, to have Wong have a finger on the pulse of any of this stuff makes some sense. But part of me would have just loved to see him show up out of nowhere at the end and be like, what is Wong doing here? That would have been the best. I don't know. I felt like he was maybe a little too like shoehorned in. But other than that, I love Wong. So I'm like, yeah, just give me more Wong.
I think that's a legitimate thing to say. I don't know that I 100% agree with you, but I think it's perfectly
I
legitimate point of view.
don't think I agree. I think it was the perfect amount of Wong.
Sometimes I don't agree with myself. Like, I'm really torn on it. I'm like, part of me loves that scene with the creative use of the portals.
That's the best knockout punch I've seen in a long, long time.
Let's see how you like it.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure it serves a purpose because there's absolutely no reason to just like put Abomination in there for no reason. So I'm sure it has a purpose. I just would have loved the surprise element.
Aaron's got a good
movies.
Aaron's
Wait
got a
about
good like
movies, and the
suggestion,
payoff
but
will come.
This one right here. Is this what you're talking about?
no, the backstage at the fighting.
Well, because that's where they were though. They were already kind of in that like holding area getting cleaned up. And then he's like, okay, time to go. And so it's like they're obviously going back to wherever Abomination lives.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, the raft makes sense. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. Given the connection to Ross and all that stuff.
When it comes to like Wong, the amount of time that Wong was in the movie, I thought it was fairly well done. I do understand Kate's point. Like it would have been a bigger impact if it, you waited more. But it's like the whole thing with like you have these, MCU movies that are, letting you in on this is another extension of the universe, this is another part of the story. But there was like the amount, and I hate to compare it to this, but Tony Stark in Spider-Man, and it was just like, this major MCU character is like holding another's hand like as they go through the movie, and it's just like it didn't feel like that. It was it was very much like this is all connected. And then there's your little Easter egg right there. I mean, not quite an Easter egg, but way more obvious. But yeah, comparing it to what we've seen previously.
And like,
This was another.
By the way, this is all the same world.
Right. Yeah. I think
Nice.
I think you're right, Kelly. I think maybe it does serve the purpose of him being in that brief part of Act 1. It serves for him to be like, hey, remember, this is still, he does the sorcerer portal thing. Remember this guy? This is the MCU. Because that
I mean,
really
they already referenced the blip, though. So I'm like, okay, we already got that a little bit, tying us into everything that's already happened.
but you know,
This made you know you were in the MCU.
Yeah.
This guy showing up
beyond
I mean,
yeah.
But at any rate, it was. I thought it was fun to
Oh.
see. I loved him coming at the end and just being like Shang-Chi and not even knowing exactly who he's looking for.
Well, that's the
And
thing.
then-
Like, they were in the back room together. Like, how do you not know what this guy looks like?
They were sitting
It's
with
Bus Boy. How do you? Come on, Wong.
They were sitting with his back to him, so like, there's also that you couldn't see their faces.
Yeah, I feel like it would have had so much like what power if they had just had him show up out of nowhere. Just like you putting on the rings, we felt that in Camertage, and I need you to come with me, as opposed to him sort of like randomly showing up in a fight club.
But it's Macau. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Of course, anything can happen.
But just like the final moment of that stinger also is so great. You guys should go. Your whole worldview is about to change. You guys should go home, get some rest. Yeah, we really should do that.
Or
Hotel California.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my
I
god,
got
love that
every
so
highway.
much.
Yeah.
Gold in my hair.
When it comes with when it comes to like the soundtrack that is kind of included. Yeah, it's like, all right, if I ever need to confuse bad guys, I'm just gonna start spouting the lyrics to Hotel California.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So true. And I love that
it only works on the stupid ones though, because one of them just ended up kicking her off the. Okay. The bamboo scaffolding fight scene.
Yeah.
Classic
Hong Kong wushu action flick.
Classic Rush Hour 2.
I was like Rush Hour 2.
Yeah.
I've seen that same scaffolding wall in so many like 70s type era, martial arts movies where the hero or they're fighting flipping amongst the bamboo scaffolding that's holding up either building the wall or what have you. There's always some construction project. The fact that they're using a bamboo scaffold on this super modern Macau building is kind of trippy too, but it's tying the modern with the classical at the same time. Like, why is there bamboo? Who cares? But why is there bamboo?
I love the play on the reflections. There's a lot of there's a lot of play on like things being reflected. Especially in that fight, because they're fighting against like this very highly reflective glass.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of it is CGI, by the way.
You mean they weren't really 80 stories up?
No, I mean like all of the reflections. So like they couldn't obviously have a true reflection, otherwise you'd see all the cameras and stuff.
Yeah,
so
you'd see the helicopter. Yeah.
Every single like shadowing and all the depth of color and all that stuff that has to reflect properly off that glass had to be like manually done by the VFX team. So that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, really impressive. Like
Again,
I didn't recognize it as being CG.
It's very pretty. Like the fight scenes are pretty.
Okay.
Once they get to Talo, that is flipping gorgeous. The color saturation, it just noticeably shifts once you go.
Morris and his family
You're going to the other world when you go to Talo, and it's fairly obvious they have to travel through the labyrinth to get to the secret water passageway, water being the metaphor for going to the other world or what have you. And then they arrive there, and your eyes are just assaulted with the saturations of the colors. Everything is so vibrant and fantastical and pristine, and it's just this little world of wonder that you land in. And the fight scenes there, we haven't even touched on how beautiful that was, but I'm sure we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking
Okay,
about
yeah. So
Yeah.
we're an hour and a half in on a channel called Here Be Dragons, and we haven't even really talked about the dragon. So I feel
Can
like
we now?
must
Yes.
do
Yeah.
so.
I've been. Yeah.
Like I
Oh.
kind of wanted to save it. Yeah, wanted to give everything else its moment in the sun, and then let's end strong. There's probably still other stuff to talk about, but like the dragon, oh my god,
Oh my
it
God.
was. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. It is so beautiful, so, like, and not just in a still image kind of way, which it is,
Mhm.
but the way that it was animated, the way it
The
moved.
movement. The
Oh,
movement.
I loved it so much. I loved it so much.
And the way that they use their use of colors, where they're tying in like the quote dragon's colors with the dragon powers that the siblings are exhibiting. Shang is wearing the red, his sister is wearing the white, and the two of them together are the same colors as the dragon. And then the dragon's power that comes out of them is this red energy from Shang and this white silver. It's oh, just love it. So
Yeah,
tasty.
I watched it again today on just my tiny little laptop screen, and it still looked so damn good. And it, like, just even on that small scale, it hits every single time you watch that scene. It just never gets old. It's
It is so
beautiful.
well done.
Yeah,
I've got to see this in IMAX.
Oh man.
yeah. Oh, I didn't see it in
got to
IMAX,
see
but I did go back a second time to see it in the theaters because I had a friend come in from Halifax for a friend's wedding. We drove down to Niagara, and I'd already seen it the night before the official opening. And he's like, "Oh, do you want to go see Shang-Chi or Free Guy?" And I'm like, "I've seen Shang-Chi, but let's go."
Right.
Yeah.
We'll
Worth
talk.
it.
I want to watch Free Guy, but I'll get to it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've heard good things,
I
But-
have too.
but this guy was also the one who like got me into the MCU. So I was like, we have to go see Shang-Chi together.
Mhm.
I agree. I agree with Erin on everything she's been saying this whole time.
Mhm.
Like it was one of the other criticisms you'll hear about Marvel movies is that the third act is just a CGI splashed across the screen. And I'm like, while that might be like accurate from a purely literal standpoint, I think that this film specifically shows us that a bunch of CGI can look incredible.
And then it can be used to enhance the storytelling of a big fight like this, where this fight alone has a 3-act structure.
Mhm.
It has a flow. It has
Yep.
A story in itself.
a story
Yep.
in itself, a logic of its own that follows through. You know, the first act ends after Sean's one-on-one.
Good night, Mateo.
Good night,
Oh yeah,
Matthew.
Matthew's going to bed. Good night, Matt.
Yeah, night. It's
Yep.
like the middle of the night for him, I think. So that makes some sense. But yeah, so he fights his dad in Act 1 of that scene, and then by Act 2, his father has died, and
Mhm.
it's still not over. And he still has
Relinquished.
to, yeah, he still has to. He has to fight the demons, like the
Yeah, I mean, it's just
visualization of his own demons still have
Yeah.
to be vanquished, even
They
after
are-
his father dies.
What are they? Squid bats? Octopus bats?
Squid dragon?
Yeah.
Well, the big one is a Cthulhu dragon. Clearly.
yeah.
Poor Razor Fist, okay?
Hey, he made it.
He's
He
traumatized.
made it.
Yeah.
Actually,
He got
there's
an upgrade, man.
Yeah, he
Yeah, he did.
reassessed his whole life.
I
Yeah.
loved it when he chopped off his razor fist and replaced it with a dragon scalp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I got this, I got work to do. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There
Glow-
are some
Had a glow up.
deleted. Yeah, no kidding. There's some deleted scenes where he doesn't make it, where he actually sacrifices himself to throw Katie her bow. Like there's sort of tucked behind, something that's fallen, and she's like, I need my bow, like, I can't do this, and he calms her down, and he runs out, throws her bow, and then they get him. But they obviously didn't leave that in the finished product, which I'm glad, because you know what, I actually kind of dig Razorfist. There's another deleted scene where they build out his backstory just a smidge, and I'm like, you know what, I'm kind of here for this guy.
Hold
Oh,
on.
he's gonna be Sis's right hand man.
Yeah, right, Razor man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I enjoyed his character way more than I thought I would. And again, Razor Fist has what do you call it? Taserface vibes.
Yeah.
But you know what doesn't have Taserface vibes?
That car. Oh.
This right here.
I don't mind that. Not one
Thank you
bit.
for pulling the thirst pick that I dropped.
Yeah.
Boxer
so
before this.
Oh man! So
So
it wasn't
he is-
Simu Leo, just those thirst pictures. It was more than
Mhm.
I posted
Perfect.
3. I posted one of Munger, one of Simu playing volleyball with his volleyball team, and I'm like, that's my thing. And then that picture.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I like him. And the deleted scene, they build out his backstory a little bit as Wenwu rescuing him as like an orphan in Romania, and his real name is Matthias. And there's this really funny little exchange where he's like, your father rescued me. He gave me a home and a purpose. And then Shiling says, and a razor arm. It's a razor fist. That makes no sense. And then Kate explains like, well, yeah, it's kind of an oxymoron because fists are blunt and a razor's like sharp.
Yeah.
It was like, please stop. Matthias can call his arm whatever he wants. Oh, yeah. Go watch the deleted scenes. They're really funny, too. Yeah.
But, like, I appreciated the dragon on so many levels. Like, down to the shot where Shang-Chi is sinking in the water and the bubbles come up and he breathed in the bubbles. And then, you could get the sort of sense of it moving through the water, and then you see it for the first time underwater. And then that first glorious burst from the surface of the water.
And it's
God,
just
oh man, like
so tied to water.
Like I watch, we watch a lot of sci-fi fantasy stuff. We collectively, this friend group, does, but so we've seen really good dragon animation for like Western dragons. Like, say what you want about season 8 of Game of Thrones, the dragons looked fantastic.
Yes.
In that show.
Cannot deny that.
There is nothing wrong with their design or animation. Like, they were beautifully done. But I don't know that I've ever seen an Eastern dragon who is far more inherently magical than a Western dragon.
So inherently beautiful.
Just the way it was animated, the sort of swimming motion, even when it was moving through the air. God, it blew me away, and it made me really appreciate the style and the beauty of that specific kind of dragon. When I think of dragon, I think of the Here Be Dragons logo type dragon, big wings, and much closer to the Game of Thrones style ones. But this one was just so beautifully done that gave me a little pause.
Oh yeah, it just made my heart sing to see it.
When the John's away, the rest of us will play.
Sorry, J-Dub. Actually, I'm not.
Not sorry whatsoever.
Yeah.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you.
Of course you do, Danny.
Yeah, it happens a lot, but we're always here for it. All I'm hearing in my head right now is Tormund being like, and he got on the back of a dragon. What kind of maniac does that?
Yeah.
He comes out of the water on the dragon and he just rides it like it's no big deal. I love that.
Yeah.
He looks so good doing it.
Eastern dragons just being so inherently tied with water, and they just lean so much into that, and it gave it such a level of authenticity to, the especially the water spiral, the fluidity of its motions, even when it was swimming through the air. That's how I picture these these Eastern water dragons.
I mean, I wish Amy was here to like give commentary on this, but I'm think you're
But
right.
there is an episode of the Unspun Yarn
That's
That-
right.
right.
where we really dive into that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Even though
Steven
it's
is
fact.
90% dragon geek, 10% water.
Mhm.
So
Again,
Yeah.
not knowing much about the story itself, as they get to Talo, and Nan is talking about the story of the Soul Eater, and the guardian being the dragon, and I'm like, this dragon better show up. It better not be metaphorical. I want to see a dragon.
Mhm.
They did not disappoint you.
Yeah, not disappointed. It like above and beyond my my hopes and dreams. It was absolutely lovely. Again, in so many different like levels and every capacity, a feast for the eyes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And
It's
did you guys
so much
know
more
that-
than eye candy. Like it's
Did you
just
know that dragon was full CGI? None of those shots have a real dragon in it.
what? Why must you kill my dreams, Steven?
No, look. I'm just
Ah,
trying to give the animators their due because of the amazing job they
Mhm.
did. I'm trying
I
to
was
praise the work of the people that worked on the film.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was gonna praise the dragon tamer. Whoever had trained it.
Okay.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, props to the
it's the guy
props
from How
to
to Train Your Dragon.
Mhm.
Right.
It's pickup.
Pick up.
Oh, but yes, I agree with everything the panel just said about the animation of the fight itself, and I love when Xialing gets on and they're working together.
Mhm.
Yeah, she gets to ride the dragon. Like,
Mhm.
it's not her name on the film, and we really do like keep the camera on Shang-Chi.
Hmm.
She's right there.
He's the one that the camera follows,
Mhm.
but she is such a huge force in this film. Xialing is.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah.
as as a foil for Shang-Chi, as a foil to her father, as a parallel to Shang-Chi, as a friend type relationship with Katie, and she gets to have her dyed in the wool true blue hero moment riding the dragon, Shang holding on to her, and he's like, she's willing, she's like, you got to let me go, there's something else you need to be doing for the betterment of everyone else, and I'm willing to make that sacrifice. Of course, he gets his deep blue hero moment to say, I'm not going to do that to you again, and it just endears both characters to me simultaneously.
Mhm.
Yeah. I agree, Aaron, 100%. I'm
Mhm.
not exactly sure what the name of that weapon is, but the way that you'll see the camera flashing back and forth, and she'll be wielding hers, and it's the same almost motions that, Sean is using when he's, wielding the rings, and it's just the same fluid outreaching motion, and it's like you see them in tandem, like she mirrored and copied his training because she wasn't allowed to train, and to see the two of them back and forth pulling off the same moves, it's just
I like the montage when we're learning about Shang's upbringing, and then at the same time hers, and then their training later on as adults in Talo, training for the upcoming battle. I love those montages, the way they're put together,
Mhm.
because it's one is not overshadowing the other. Even with Katie training with the bow.
Mhm.
I loved it.
She's
couple
like,
I'm sorry, couple beautiful moments came out of that too. Like, I'm always gonna like, I laugh so hard at Guambo. Do you see
Did you
that?
see that? It was tight.
But also the older woman who tells her, if you aim at nothing, you will hit nothing, which
yeah.
in response to her sort of
deep.
like, oh, that's not the way I live my life, and like, what a beautiful, simple, like a simple piece of wisdom that's so easy to consume, but has so many layers to it. Like,
Mhm.
That
And
would have
it's
been more effective.
so perfect with it being her learning archery specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of what they're at the beginning when their friends were like, why don't y'all grow up? Like if they had just said that.
Those two friends. Those two friends sitting in the bar.
Yeah.
Like,
You sound like my mom, and you kind of
Like-
dress like her too. Is that from
Yeah.
Talbot's?
That's from Talbot's.
Is
Yeah,
from
that was a
Talbot?
sick burn.
I died.
Yeah.
I died. And then-
so I also really, not that it couldn't change, but I really appreciated that we got through the whole film without any romantic or sexual tension between Shang-Chi and Katie. Like I could definitely see it developing, especially after the sort of high stress situation, and in the new world they're both going to be gaining experience living in. They're going to that old friendship could grow into something more, but they really did come through this film as just a couple of buds, and they didn't feel the need to force in the romantic angle.
So
will
glad
they? Won't
didn't.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they didn't force or try to. That would be shoehorning something in, and I'm so glad that they just
Well,
didn't.
it could have been written that way where it didn't feel shoehorned, but like I really appreciate that they actively didn't, because it's something that happens a lot.
Yeah, it was definitely a conscious decision too, because again, there's a deleted scene where it's an extended version of when Xiaoling and Katie are talking in her bedroom, and she's like, I can see why my brother likes you. Like, do you like him too? So she sees something in him being sort of like pining after her a little bit, and she's like, no, like we're really good friends. But they left that out of the movie. So I think, that says a lot about the direction that they wanted to take that friendship and what they wanted to put the focus on.
Yeah, well, I think it's a smart move to take that specific scene out, because that really would only exist to play to something that has nothing to do with what the film's actually talking about.
Yeah. I guess the closest we get is when they're walking through the portal at the very end and he puts out his arm for her.
Yeah, but that could be a friend thing.
Yeah.
It really can.
That's the closest you get, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it's not like they took hands and interlaced fingers or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Katie's grandmother. When are you getting married? It's like,
yeah, that too, I guess. But that's an Asian.
That's it. That's an Asian thing. Yep.
That's a cultural thing.
But that's just grandma going, there's a good looking dude right there.
Yeah.
Have you met Shang-Chi?
Right.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, can we also just appreciate the fact that Waipo foreshadows the entire thing there with that whole Chiming Jie thing where, they're talking about a departed loved one and trying to connect with someone who has died, and just the concept of ancestral worship in the Asian cultures coming through, and Katie commenting, Wygong would have wanted you to move on, and then her mom chimes in, moving on is an American idea. You're American, Mom. But it just foreshadows the whole thing of not being able to move on.
Yeah.
And I just think it's like that whole scene, it just seems like a little bit of setting the scene, a little bit of filler, but it sets up everything.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, like, as far as like when we're like having the power of a god, and we think like what can take down a god? Apparently grief can take down a god.
Phase 4 theme.
Yeah.
What is love if
What
not,
is love if not
not grief? Or what is grief if not love persevering?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And what is love? And what is love? Baby, don't hurt
Don't
me.
hurt me.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Yeah. It has to happen every time.
Well, clearly there are people that actually shipped. Cassie was just saying that she kind of shipped them, and I'm like, hey man, they have great chemistry together. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I just in this film thought it was a really nice to have a male and female
Change of
kind
pace.
of like co-leads and just let them be friends with each other. Like it's not.
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't seen such a good
Have that
male-female
buddy
friendship
cop.
dynamic since like Captain America and Black Widow.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
I've seen her flirt close up. This isn't it. What do you mean close up?
Yeah.
okay, Aaron thinks she saw more romance than I did, and that's fair.
Scenes.
But if I'm being honest, if I ship anybody, it's Katie and Shilling.
Okay.
Because they have that
Yeah.
like, oh, you built this? You're awesome. Oh, I like your pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I can see
like,
that.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
get behind that. I get behind that.
Mhm.
mad respect.
I don't know that Katie would appreciate what is going on with Ten Rings right now, but you know.
Yeah. It's
You know,
like,
but-
oh,
but-
you.
But they could talk about it.
Mhm. It's not a dark secret.
She understands that a girl has to go get what she wants.
Yeah.
You know, she wants it. She's got to go get it.
Oh, Cassie, did you mean you shipped those two? Sister and friend. Oh yeah. So
Oh, okay.
Cassie was and Kelly, I know how much you love this. She was shipping Shilling and Katie together, which so was I. I thought that's the romance move that I'm here for. And apparently Cassie, that's what she was saying.
Can't
We also
wait for
take
that Disney Plus series to come out.
Yeah. Can we take a moment too to appreciate how both of the kids ended up with the 10 rings?
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Each of them got 10
one
rings.
gets the artifact, one gets the organization.
Yeah, they like split their father's legacy. So I'm really interested to see how that dynamic plays out going forward.
And as we saw
Yeah.
right at the end of the film, the 10 rings will return.
Yes, they will.
And they're yeah, you definitely notice there's specifically like there's men and women
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
probably
And she-
everything, yeah, and non-binary all allowed to fight.
And she changes the symbol. I didn't notice this on my first two watches, but she changes the symbol from the crossed weapons. It changes depending on which cell flag you're looking at. But
okay.
like one of them has sort of like a machete look, the other's got the hook sword. So she changes it to be a skull with a lotus. And if you watch the Golden Daggers discussion scene, like after the fight, you can see there's like lotuses painted all over the walls in her club. So she's really like taking it and making it her own. So very
I love
interesting.
all the graffiti.
Yeah, I think the production design really reflected the changes. I thought that was really cool.
Right on, right on.
Absolutely.
Okay, so chatters, panelists, anything else we haven't discussed yet? Something that needs to be talked about?
I don't have something that needs to be talked about, but I do have an interesting question for all y'all.
Shoot.
And who do you want to see Shang-Chi interact with? Like, what's your pairing that you really want to see happen?
What do you mean? Like
Who do you want to see him interacting with?
If he was to pop up in somebody else's film?
Or like, in a crossover or whatever, like who do you think
Hmm.
is going to have like a really great dynamic with Shang-Chi moving forward? My vote is for Spider-Man because I think they're going to have like a really funny, witty back and forth with each other, and they're going to talk about movies, and they're going to
oh yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
going to be so funny. And in Simu's real life, he was once Spider-Man at little kids' birthday parties. So
Yeah.
it'd be full circle for him. I
Mhm.
just love. So yeah, my vote's for Peadar, Spider-Man.
I'm thinking about it.
Well, they do
Samesies.
have the youth vibe to play off of, and they both had that. Hey, they got the same movement.
Yeah, I think they'd be a really funny pair.
They can
Yeah.
fight over
I
who's
think like
move
I
better.
mean like talk about a comedic duo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who I think he'd bounce off of great, and it's probably because anybody does, but put him opposite Thor.
Yes, it's true.
Just
Mhm.
like, because Thor, he's so clueless about human culture. but he's at least learned a little bit about Eastern culture to have, or Western culture, I mean, from Earth, like that sort of like divide between how his understanding of humans and Shang-Chi could be really fun. And like it's Chris Hemsworth, so you know.
Give it to Taika Waititi, and I'm
Yes,
there.
I was about
Okay.
to say, and please let Taika Waititi
Because
direct this.
He would just take those. He would take them and go karaoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he would be the third karaoke.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Gonna take my
Chord.
horse to
Yeah.
the
Oh.
old town road.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cassie
Mm.
coming
Darcy
through
could be
fire.
fun.
Darcy
Yeah.
would be awesome.
Because of her,
Oh my
her
god,
background.
Aaron, no.
Korg.
Yes.
Oh my God, Korg.
Well, of course, Sean wants
Hey, man.
Bing Bang Boom.
Yeah.
Duh.
When doesn't he?
Right.
Yeah, he's been like on that for months. Ever since we started talking about this movie, he's like, it needs to be Bing Bang Boom. Might be the second one. Never know.
Might be. I see some votes for I saw a vote for Rocket as well.
Mm.
That's a good choice. I would take that. Rocket's also really funny. I just think Shang-Chi has the potential. Like, he's serious throughout much of the film, but we do get enough not that to know that he's got a sense of humor and he can, let loose and have some fun. So yeah, for me, I think it would be like Thor and Korg would be awesome. I think the Peter Parker pick is also really
Definitely,
great.
yeah.
I think Fin Fang Foom is the worst, stupidest possible answer.
Sorry, Sean.
Okay, Sean. You know I love you, buddy. I'm just messing.
Yeah.
I don't
If
know enough
anything,
about that character to say one way or the other.
I
honestly.
do want to see Thor go to karaoke. That's the only reason.
Yes, I
Yes.
want to watch Chris Hemsworth sing karaoke.
Yeah.
And they should also bring Peter Quill. Because duh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh God, which 80s song would he be singing? Something off of his freaking tape deck. So
I come from the land of the ice and snow. Of course, it's Immigrant Song.
Of course, it's a good song.
No, I was talking about
Ooh,
Peter Quill.
yes.
What Peter Quill song would he karaoke at? Off of his tape deck.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you mean Shu Shilling. I assume Cassie means Shu Shilling. Shu is Shang-Chi's family name. They're all Shu something. He's Shu Shang-Chi. Shu Wen-Wu is the dad. Shu Shilling is the sister.
The mom.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Nah. Ying Li is the mom.
Nebula, like, y'all know I love me some Karen Gillan. Yeah, I'm down. I would love that too. I'm not sure how you get them together, but like, yeah, give it to me.
That'd be a weird dynamic.
It would be a weird dynamic.
But I love when Marvel goes weird.
But like, they're two kick butt women who have had to fight hard for all the recognition they have. Super
Daddy
issues for each of them.
Daddy issues.
Yeah, like it could be really fun.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same about Gamora too. She's pretty solid in the hand-to-hand arena herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So, anything else we should discuss about this movie before we call it a night?
I could go again. I always do this. Where I could go on for a whole other stream about this movie.
Potter has. Oh, right.
There it is.
Entered the chat.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
That is very true, Potter. 1983 is when that abomination happened. Okay.
No, that film is like 1986 or
6, I think.
Because I think it was the year. Because it was
after Back to the Future, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
God.
Taya Leone was real hot at the time. You know what I mean? Hot career-wise.
Leah Thompson.
Or Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the one that Potter would want Shang-Chi to
Shang-Chi interact with
interact
Howard
with.
the Duck.
that freaking waterfowl.
But not the new version of Howard the Duck that's voiced by Seth Green. Old school Howard the Duck from the 80s movie.
Ah,
The one that definitely
nightmares.
had sex with Marty McFly's girlfriend. Or mom, I mean.
Mom.
Yeah.
It's just it's just awful all the way around. Yeah.
The grandfather paradox.
Ugh.
All right, y'all. Well, I feel like that's the end. So,
Let's go out on that note.
Tapping out.
like, what better way to end it?
Sex with ducks.
Sex with ducks.
And incest.
Potter, we managed to work an Expanse reference into this because Simu Liu, who plays Shang-Chi, was in one episode of The Expanse.
Nerds.
That you do, my friend. And we love you for it. Simu Liu was in one episode of The Expanse. Lieutenant something something. Oh, right. He did say human spackle. I'm like totally missed that.
Oh, okay.
Thinking about how Shang-Chi gets made into floor spackle. That's correct. He does. So we brought that up earlier. But yeah, okay. We love you guys. We're gonna move towards signing off. Kate, wonderful seeing you as always. Thank you for coming along. Kelly, always awesome to have you. I liked it so much. I'm gonna have you back next week.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it and thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Kate, it's the Lord of the Rings. You don't care.
Yeah. I'm not as deep in the nerd on that one. Someday
Right.
I'll get there, but
Hey, I'll have you back for something sometime.
yeah.
I'll twist your arm
It'll
again.
come around eventually.
I'll twist your arm again real soon.
Yeah, it's a
Matter of
real struggle getting me.
Yeah, we have
Can
to
I just invite you both to be on the channel on January 8th or January 9th?
I guess I could do that.
I think I'm busy.
Yeah,
You are
I think I've got
busy.
somewhere to be.
Yeah.
All right, what's January 9th? I'm lost again.
That will be a special edition of I Know That Nerd called I Know These Nerds,
Oh,
where we will be
I'm always the
live.
last to know.
Are we all gonna be like
Yes, that's the plan.
around one microphone, and we'll
That's the
just be
plan.
like,
I mean, I got a really good blue snowball, so hopefully.
Oh,
I was thinking about that. I was like, we're gonna need lights and extra camera.
everybody bring a ring light.
Get the widest angle lens you
will
can find.
not be as high as it usually is, but that's okay. We'll get through it. But yes, they'll both be back on before you know it because they're coming to HereBeCon, and we will be live streaming one Sunday from HereBeCon. It'll be a
Gonna
blast.
be ripped.
So yeah,
Epic.
Kate, not next week, but very soon. Kelly, next week for the 20th anniversary of Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring, we will be doing a retro review of
Makes me
Lord of the
feel so old.
Rings. Nessie, you won't be here for that one, unfortunately, but you will
Quit
be here,
reminding me.
but you will be here for the week after,
Yes, I will.
where we cover the first half of The Expanse, season 6. One episode in, it's already fantastic. Love it, love it, love it. All right, and Nessie, you're going to start up the Magical Menagerie again, hopefully sometime after the first of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. I'm there whenever you stream. Unless you're streaming while I'm working, but I'm there.
Aaron, she's pointing out the obvious right there.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I know.
It's a chat when we're all in the
But,
same room.
Like,
we're literally just doing it to make everyone who didn't make it feel bad.
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that.
Come on, you guys. Look, Potter's not the only troll that lives here. I mean, I might be a dragon, but I'm part troll on my dad's side.
We got a lot of bridges to fill with trolls.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, everyone who's here, thank you so much. We had a pretty good turnout this week. Yeah. We had a pretty good turnout. Thanks for everyone who had a good time hanging out with us.
oh,
But we will see you all next week. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to everyone that can't be here, but what better opportunity to sit down and there and do a live stream. It's gonna be awesome. Even if you're not there, it'll make you
Stupid.
feel like you're there. All right. So once again, panelists, thank you so much. Chatters, thank you so much for being here. We'll see y'all next week for some Lord of the Rings action. And until then, you know what it is. Peace. And be excellent to each other.